picky, baby. Dance it, you know. Love it, hey.
Can we give them a round of applause? Thank you. How are you ladies doing today? Okay, so I think the best way to start this is for you guys to introduce yourselves and then tell me the first Afrobeat song you listened to, if you can remember. Who wants to go first?
Start?
Yeah, you start.
Hi, everybody. My name is Thuli Keupilwe. I'm the managing director of Law Communications, which is a powerhouse from South Africa that manages amazing Amapiano artists such as DJ Maporisa, Kabza the Small, Young Stunner, GTRP. Yeah, we're just trying to take Amapiano to the world, if anything. But thanks to Afrobeats for paving the way.
Hi everyone, I'm Vanessa Amadi-Ogbonna, UK-based. I'm an artist manager and also I run a PR firm that I've had for the past 15 years. I look after and manage the career of Tiwa Savage, and I'm across some other artists as well. Lovely to be here. Thank you, Martell, for putting this together.
I'm Temi Adeniji. I'm the outgoing MD of Warner Music Africa. I've been in the role for 4 years now. Thank you so much to Martell for hosting this amazing event with some incredible women. Yeah.
Amazing. None of you guys gave me an Afrobeat song.
Yeah, I think we just skipped it on purpose.
I won't lie.
You could do Amapiano one if you want to.
I think for me, the one that was significant would be Champion Sounds. Yeah, I think for me that collaboration did a lot for us. So yeah, Champion Sounds.
Vanessa?
For me, it has to be Oliver Twist by D'banj for personal reasons. Personal reasons, but also just changed the trajectory of my career and also Afrobeats, UK and globally, in my opinion.
Definitely did.
Mine is a bit niche. Da Grin Kondo was for me.
I love that. Okay, this is a nice little icebreaker. So we're going to get into it. Temi, I'm going to start with you. You are leading a global label, right? How has it been for you doing that when Afrobeats has just gone? How has that been for you, especially being a woman in that position?
I think I'll take it a step back. When I started at Warner in 2016, I interviewed with the CEO of International, and when I walked in his office, he had a map on the wall. And it had in blue colored where Warner was operating, and in Africa, it was only South Africa. And I was like, bro, like, what's up with that? And he took a chance on me. At the time, I was a debt finance lawyer. He took a chance on me, hired me. And from that moment, I knew that I wanted to be part of the company's expansion into Africa. It took about 2-3 years of evangelizing internally. I made maybe like 35 versions of the same deck, basically with demographics and data. Like, I was like, guys, like, look at this. I've updated it, new data, it's better. And I think in 2018, something shifted. It was, my boss at the time had been running the international business for over 5 or 6 years and had never been to the continent. And in 2018, he took his first trip. We went to Nigeria and South Africa. And after that trip, we made some key investments in Chocolate City in Nigeria, in Africori, and Ziki. But I think all that to say that it was definitely not, in 2016, it was still a very nascent topic. Like, nobody really cared about what I was talking about. And I think they took a huge leap of faith in making these investments. And I think that's what really opened up the company's portfolio into this market. So I guess all that to say that Afrobeats was the first moment that, you know, a major label looked at, but I think it's paved the way for a lot of different genres now, like piano, and I think there's a lot more robust understanding of the continent now that there wasn't even in 2016, for sure.
Yeah, that is definitely true. How was it for you actually continuing to push that? So I know a lot of the time being a woman in these spaces and being like, I know this is something that we need to actually support. How was that for you?
It's very lonely. I mean, I think at the time it was just like, there were so many other priorities. I was actually focused on Europe. So at the time it was in France, for example, you were switching from consumption of Western English content to more local. So that was what the company was really focused on at the time. So this felt really far away. But for me, I just felt like if I kept putting it in front of everybody, then at some point we could actually cut through. And it did take like 2-3 years to do that, but I think it was worth it because we were definitely late to the game, later than the other labels, but I think we were smart about it. We made some accretive investments that really solidified our position, and we were able to make up a lot of ground really quickly. But yeah, that's thanks to having the data from how Afrobeats was performing, because at the end of the day, that's the language that, my stakeholders, that's the language they speak, is what are the numbers? And I think at some point they realized that there was an arbitrage opportunity here actually to sign a lot of artists or to play in this pond and actually see really huge returns. So that is the argument that got it across the line.
Amazing. Vanessa, I'm going to come to you. So you have been doing this for many, many years and you're incredible. You're in management and PR. How important is it for the stories of Afrobeats to be authentic? Especially just going back to Temi's point, a lot of these stakeholders haven't been to Nigeria, haven't been to Ghana or South Africa. How important is it to be authentic in these stories?
I mean, super important. With Afrobeats, we're not just exporting music, but it's culture, it's lifestyle, it's language, it's food, it's fashion, it's right across the board. So as PR or someone that has to handle the storytelling of Afrobeats, it's extremely important for it to be as authentic as possible. And again, there are challenges because Africa is not a country. It's a continent with 54 countries, and then even more so languages and cultures and tribes, etc. So to get that message across is tough, but through the talent, we were able to do that. But the storytelling is key. It is key.
How do you manage that when, for example, say if there's a big stakeholder wants to tell a certain story and it's not authentic? How do you manage that? Because I think a lot of the time you'll go into companies, whether it's DSPs, and they want to tell the story of Africa in this way, but it's not authentic. How do you manage that?
I mean, luckily, I don't have to fight that by myself. Artists are extremely vocal with how they want to be presented. I remember whilst working on the D'banj Oliver Twist campaign, back in, I think, 2011 or 2012. And the record, Oliver Twist, he sort of shouts out different women, Genevieve Naji, Omotola. These are key women in the Nigerian entertainment scene. And I remember the first meeting we had at the label, and they wanted him to change the names of some of the women to make it a bit more, familiar to the West. And he was like, oh, absolutely not. You don't know them, but there's an entire continent and even people in the diaspora that do. And it helps when the artist sort of stands firm in their authenticity. It doesn't always, we don't always are able to be that firm, but it helps when you have talent that are able to and are confident in sticking to what is authentic to them.
Amazing. Thuli, I'm going to come to you. So Amapiano, which we mentioned earlier, we're obviously in a growth of this in the last couple of years. How has it been working in that space with you, especially the expansion across the globe?
I think for us, the most important thing has been collaboration. Collaboration has been key with regards to pushing Amapiano to the next level, right? I mean, the best duo that came out of Amapiano are both two people that came together and collaborated to create, I don't want to say they created the genre, don't get me wrong, but they definitely fast-tracked it to become commercial, and that's a collaboration in itself. And then you fast-track that and you say, okay, how many songs do you know where there's 8 guys on one song? That's already collaboration and storytelling on its own, and that's just from a South African lens. And then you cross over and you go into Africa, the diaspora, and connecting everybody. You look and you trace back where Amapiano at the end of the day it's a collection of music and sounds, right? But it's led by a sound called the lock drum, right? But then at the same time, because of collaboration and like I said, champion sound, for us that was a stamp of approval. At the beginning, I won't lie, it was like, we don't want to collaborate. We want to keep this sound because this is something that speaks to us. But then as time went, we started to realize that actually we can't do this by ourselves. And because of collaboration and because of the network that we have, we can obviously cross over to the next level. So for me, collaboration has always been key, and that's the only thing that's going to allow us as a continent to cross over into different markets and ensure that, we take over.
No, 100%. And I think that's totally true, just because I think even in the UK, hearing those sounds and having people like Davido on these sounds, it's like, okay, this is something that's happening, and I think it's really important. I'm going to ask you all a question, actually, and go one by one. What's the biggest challenge being a woman in this space? I know we could be here all day, I know. Who wants to go first, Vanessa?
Well, for the biggest challenge, I mean, there are many challenges. One of the biggest challenges I found is sort of, there's a stereotype, you know, you're black, you're female, you're African, so all these things piling on top, and then there is a stereotype. And when you don't fit that stereotype, you run into some issues. One of the problems I've had is, well, just simply not being heard, or you walk into the room with the talent and, you know, they turn and speak to the security, believing that that is who is, you know, that's the boss or whoever. I mean, yeah, there's many challenges, but I think it's just not being seen, actually, and having to also having no room for failure and no room to make mistakes. That's always, that's tough.
Yeah. Thuli?
I think it's really being unseen. And for me, that's the biggest thing. To the extent where there was a time I used to road manage DJ Maporisa, and when I went to work dressed like a female, you know, I was not seen. It was, who's that girl? Maybe she's the girl that's, you know, whatever the case may be. But the minute I started to change my dress style and the way I walk and the way I talk, all of a sudden, the conversation is different. Now I'm at the table, now conversations are being had, you know? But that was early on. So I think really being unseen, I think that's the biggest thing for me. It's so important to be seen, and ultimately being seen, you be heard. You automatically are heard. So being unseen is the tough one, yeah.
I think it's probably for me, figuring out a way to be authentically me as a woman and also be taken seriously as an executive, particularly because I'm always managing between, you know, stakeholders in UK and America, but also I'm having to kind of serve as connective tissue between local artists on the ground, local management on the ground. I really took a decision very early on that I'm not going to lead like a man. Like I think there's a lot of power in the EQ that I have, in the way that I handle situations, the way that I handle conversations, and I haven't, you know, betrayed myself, and I think that's been really challenging to figure out a way to like maintain that and be taken seriously.
Definitely. I'm going to come back to you. So that we have a lot of celebration of artists, female artists on stage, but not a lot about females, managers, entrepreneurs. How has that been for you to be quite resilient in terms of not being celebrated but still pushing the culture?
I think you just have to have a really strong sense of self. You have to have your own like sort of practice that keeps you grounded. For me, it's like I work out a lot. I go to the gym. That's how I remind myself that I have this muscle to like do this thing, do really hard things. I just think that when you're in these positions, everyone thinks they can do it better. And you just have to tune out the noise and really lock into like your own vision and your own perspective. And like for me, when I make decisions, I have to really fully believe in the decision, and then I do it. I don't care what the outcome is, because if I really believe in it, then I can sleep at night. So I think that practice has really helped me, because there's so many people always coming at you with their opinions and, you know, their views of what to do and how to do it. And that's not why they pay me. They don't pay me to do what other people say. They pay me to use my best judgment.
100%. Vanessa, I'm going to come to you. So managing a female Afrobeats artist is obviously completely different from a male artist. How has it been for you to keep Tiwa, for example, authentic, but also not being boxed in by stereotypes as a female artist?
I mean, it's very different. I've worked on sort of both sides, male and female, and there's just a lot more judgment on the women. You, again, with what I was saying before, there is the stereotype, you know, what you're wearing, what does the makeup look like, the things that men just don't have to deal with. And then there's just more of a delve into your private life. Who are you seeing, who you're not seeing, who are your friends. There's a lot more that that is considered when it comes to women. I mean, how I handle it, I try to support as much as possible away from the business side of things, just sort of positive mental health encouragement. You don't change the world by being like everybody else. You need to sit in your, like with somebody like Tiwa, I mean, who's been in the business for 15 plus years. So she doesn't need much guidance from me, but she's been a good partner because we work together collaboratively. But my support, as much as it's a business side, I think it's a personal support as well. And just to be rooting, to show that you have someone in your corner, and also just fully believe in who she is and what she's trying to do career-wise.
It's amazing. I think you've done that so well. Like, Tiwa's been very authentic to herself. I'm going to come to you. Do you feel like Amapiano and Afrobeats still has that authenticity now it's become more global?
Definitely. Vanessa spoke about storytelling.
Yeah.
We have 54 countries in Africa.
Yeah.
We're not one country, if anything, and I think that narrative needs to change, and it really is from the storytelling. It's from how we speak, our language, how we dress, how we interact, our food. It's our fashion sense, you know what I mean? For as long as artists do not communicate that in their music, that story is gonna be lost. And I think it's important that we continue to, drive those kind of conversations in the music, specifically in Amapiano. Right now, there's people that genuinely have songs that speak about their truth and how they grew up and where they're from. Whether you understand what they're saying, that's, I guess, something that you need to study and understand, right? We're in a global space where you can literally go on the internet and Google translate what the person's saying. But chances are you will hear and understand and relate. And I think relatability is so important in this space, and we all can relate to the stories that are being told. So definitely storytelling, yeah.
Definitely. Temi, I'm going to come back to you. What makes an African artist ready to hit the global stage, in your opinion?
I was talking to Vanessa about this earlier. I think more than ever, we have no formula. Like, I don't think that there's a formula or one-size-fits-all approach. I think everybody's looking for that hit, that crossover hit that helps you kind of buttress like your career. And for me, it's about, yes, you have that moment, but how do you build endurance? Like, how do you make sure that it's not a flash in the pan? How do you actually build a brand? And a lot of it is the narrative and the storytelling around it, and making sure that the artist is actually mentally prepared for that moment, because it can be really overwhelming. One of the things I tell artists when they have a huge hit is like, you have to be mentally prepared that like, this might be the biggest song that you've ever done, that you'll ever do. But like, your desire to create has to be bigger than that. And so you just keep doing the thing that you love to do without an expectation that this thing is gonna come again, because that can really drown you. So in terms of being ready, I think it's just like putting all of the steps in, in process, trying to get them media trained, trying to get them to do reps of things, do as many live shows, get better at performing. All of that stuff is so important for when that moment does come, that you are prepared.
How do you manage that when that moment comes and goes for an artist? Because that can happen a lot of time and people don't know how to. Do you feel like the ecosystem of the music industry around Afrobeats is there for artists that have a big hit and then kind of don't have another one again?
I mean, I think there's a bigger conversation to be had about just like how the industry is structured right now. So a lot of monetization happens outside of the continent, right? So you're always catering to a Western audience. And I have like a lot of thoughts about how that allows like neo-colonial conditions to persist, right? But that's a separate story. But I think it does relate to a situation like where there is a huge hit that's like a global success. Then you start to like subconsciously think about, I need to create for an audience that's not at home. And I think that's really hard. So I try to counsel artists that, they should continue to like do what feels right for them, what feels authentic for them when it comes to the sound. Because you can't, a lot of times you can't replicate that moment. And so if you focus on trying to get that moment again, it's like chasing smoke. Like, it's much better to like just have the process of like, okay, this is what I really love is creating, and let me just like create something that feels right and put it out there. And I mean, being an artist requires vulnerability of levels that most of us will never understand. And so allowing them to like feel all the feels in that process is like very important. And what she was saying about mental health and having mental health resources, I think is one of the key things in helping artists manage through that process, because it can be super challenging.
Definitely. Vanessa, do you think the music industry has an ecosystem that actually protects female artists, whether they're Afrobeats or not? Do you feel like we're there yet? And if not, how can we as an industry help?
So no, it's a short answer. The ecosystem is not there. I think we need artist development, and right now that to me is something that's lacking. I've been in the industry for 20 years, I'm not that old, 20 years, and when I was coming up, artist development was key. I mean, you'd go to song lessons, dance lessons, sit with your A&R plan, and now it's sort of like you're doing things for TikTok and social media. And with like what Temi's saying, you have like a boom and then you have the bust, and I don't believe that there is a support for talent. I think what we can do is more of things like this, where we're giving our experiences and talking about what we've seen, and sort of help the next generation to understand what can happen when you have success and maybe it doesn't follow immediately. I look at artists like Rema, who have had massive global tracks, and I'm just so inspired with the way he is just keeps transforming and testing, and almost doesn't care if you're into it or not, and sort of brings you in because he is being authentically him. And then you sort of, next minute you're jumping around in your living room singing Oziba, and where before you weren't too sure. So it's that I guess to answer your question, there isn't the support. Yeah. We need to put the support in place, but we also need to prepare talent for the time, maybe when it's not as busy as it was for you in previous time.
Definitely. And I feel like artist development kind of disappeared over the last 5 years. And obviously that's when Amapiano and Afrobeats started really growing. So those sort of artists didn't have that. So I think it's definitely something for us as an industry and people in leadership roles to kind of bring that back and make sure they're being looked after. Thuli, I'm going to come back to you again. How has it been in the space managing Amapiano artists? How has it been challenging for you, just because obviously it's different from Afrobeats? Do you feel like there's been any differences between the two?
Definitely. I think from South Africa, if anything, we started off from a back foot, right? So Amapiano grew faster than we could catch up from a foundation phase. So managers, booking agents, label, understanding what license agreements are, all of that. We literally started from a back foot. So you have a global song that's moving, right? But in the back end, you don't have a team that understands what's going on. Going back to support, literally no support. We're literally learning as we go, from learning how to do a metadata sheet on the go because, DSPs or the label wants it, and you just signed a label deal that you don't understand. So if anything, I think only now we're working backwards to understand what we did in 2018 when the songs were moving, and now trying to fix that, So for me, definitely, we've automatically started from a back foot. So we're trying to replicate and fix that.
We need to create more spaces, I guess, for the education.
I was saying to a friend now that I don't think in South Africa we need panels. I think in South Africa we need educational platforms that enable artists and managers and booking agents and just the ecosystem to learn and understand what it is to have those elements in place, because there's no school for it. You kind of learn on the go, and it would be great to have those kind of opportunities so that people can understand. But I would like to say that because of going back to collaboration, we've been able to meet people on the way and understand certain things and try and fix. So I just wish that we didn't have to start off a back foot, because if we didn't start on the back foot, I think we'd be further than where we are now.
Definitely. I want to talk about something more so we can celebrate you guys. I feel like it's been a lot of challenges, but you've all been amazing in your own right. So I would love to go around and for you guys to say the biggest moment of your career and why it was so important to you. Temi, it's going to start with you.
Yeah, so I got appointed to this role in April 2021, and CK's Love Wanties went like crazy in August 2021. And I remember I was sitting at the US Open and I got like a text that this thing is going viral, and I was like, I don't know what this means, but this sounds really exciting. And I think at that moment I really had to switch into high gear, and I was like, okay, how do I capitalize on this moment? And immediately I had just done like a program with actually the marketing lead at Warner Music France. So I called him and I was like, I see that it's moving in France. Like, do you think you can go to radio? Like, do you think you can do it? And they like never do that for songs like this. And for whatever reason, he decided to go, and we went to NRJ and we went to #1 here. And I was like, oh my God, I think this is. So I was like, okay, I see it's moving in India. So I called the MD of India and I was like, what can we do here? And like, I really want to push this. And he got behind me and he pushed it, and we got to like #1 for 16 weeks. So I think like for me, having to like put on my big girl pants really quickly, I had not led a team. I literally was coming in totally blind. And I just had to figure it out. It was like business school and all of the about like marketing, like everything all at once. But for me, I really love like fixing things, and I love getting to the bottom of it. So for me, it was like a puzzle, and it was a really insane way to start like this job, but it's one of the best memories for sure.
Amazing, congratulations, Vanessa.
I get asked that a few times actually, and I can't really pinpoint a moment. Yeah, not one moment. There've been a few. I was telling Ade Shopet earlier on, D'Banj's Oliver Twist was played on EastEnders. And for me, when it was on EastEnders, for those that know what EastEnders is, a cult British program, when it was on, that was like a real like wow moment. Having Davido and Tiwa Savage on the cover of Billboard magazine was incredible. Just to see that was huge for us, for the culture, for me personally as a PR as well. But there have been multiple moments, some that actually I haven't even been a part of, but just seeing, like Thames with a record that was an Oscar-nominated record was incredible to see. There's been a lot of personal things, but I can't really pinpoint one. I think just being able to do what I do, as a mum of two, and being able to move around and speak at places like this, I don't take it for granted. So yeah, those will be the things that stand out for me.
I'm still living in my moment, and that is hosting the biggest Amapiano show in the world with 50,000 people, leading a team of 2,000 people, and giving you guys a show that I think till date is one of the biggest shows. I'm even getting goosebumps because I'm still living in that moment. It's something that we never thought we would do in such a short space of time. And yeah, we just hope to do many more of those, and just set ourselves apart. Yeah.
For each of you, what advice would you give to an artist coming through now that you've learned?
I was gonna say run.
Are you sure?
You need to want it first. I can't want it for you. Your manager can't want it for you. Your team can't want it for you. You need to want it first. It starts with you. It ends with you. And dream big. The world is your oyster. I know that's cliche, but we live in a digital world now, so anything can connect. Just you gotta connect the dots and know what you want. Yeah.
Love that.
Do the work. You have to get up. You have to do the press. You've got to do the rehearsals. You're not going to wake up and be Davido, or Tiwa Savage, Wake up, do the work, get a good team around you, and a good team can literally just be people that believe in you. They don't have to have had, all these accolades and everything else. Just work with someone who believes. And like you're saying, believe in yourself. Of course, it's cliche, but honestly, if you believe in your talent, it will take you to a level that it will be unexpected, but you have to do the work. I can't stress that enough.
I think they said it all, but I think the most important thing is a team that understands how to actually build a sophisticated plan, like that is ready for the moment that we're talking about, because not everybody that you grew up with is going to be able to take you where you want to go. So being really honest about the skill set of people that you need around you and trusting them. Like, I think that's the most important thing, is like really trusting them. And I think there's an element of being an artist that requires volatility, and like that volatility is what makes them special. But I think it's like this dance between like trying to create structure and also using that volatility to continue to like spur on the creativity that we all love. But that requires a level of trust between you and between the artist and the team, which means that like at certain levels, at certain moments you listen, and at certain moments you don't. But like both people understand what's going on.
Amazing. What is your hope? This is for you guys, all of you guys. What is your hope for Amapiano and Afrobeats in the future?
For Amapiano, if anything, is to just make sure that we do things right. Like I said, we started from a back foot, right? So everything is just started wrong. But if anything, it would be amazing to take over the world and do it right as a team. And if anything, make sure that our story is told correctly, and that our sound, whether it's replicated or not, is our sound, and that it continues to enter into markets that we wouldn't have thought of when we started in 2014 to 2018. And that, yeah, we take over the world, because Amapiano to the world.
Vanessa?
My hope for Afrobeats is unity, first of all. There's a bit of segregation in there, separation, in there, and I just wish that we were a bit more unified, because I think we would go so much further if that were in place. I hope for that. I hope for just more talent to come through, and more great music. I mean, yeah, that's what I hope for.
I think mine is like a little bit more technical, but like I wish for like all countries to actually develop like CMOs and PROs so that like artists can actually get paid on the continent for their work. I hinted at it, but I think it's like the biggest challenge, and it's the thing that I think would change the trajectory, because we're so reliant on consumption in the West, and I think it really impacts artists' ability to create in the way that they want to.
Wow.
Yeah, shout out. Actually, you're right.
Okay, I think we're going to wrap up shortly, but I'm listening to so much Afrobeats, right? There's a lot of artists, a lot of music. Who's exciting you guys right now? Who are you excited about? And you can't say the artists that you work with directly. Who should we be looking out for? Who's coming through where you're like, this is the next Tiwa or Ira or Rema?
There's a few for me. I mean, yeah. I love Bloody Civilian.
Yeah.
I think she's amazing. I love Ira Star. But I don't know, who should you look out for? Look out for Fola, a new artist fairly new artist signed to Empire. I really love what he's doing. Yeah, I would say Ira, Bloody Civilian, and Fola.
Amazing.
It's very difficult for me because I'm very biased towards my artists.
Okay, you can say one.
I have so many. But definitely Mduti RP, the founder of the Lock Drum. I think we kind of lost the way with him, and I think we need to just go back and realize that we wouldn't be here without him. So definitely Mduti RP, yeah.
I mean, for me, it's Jazz World or Jazzers and Taxon. Like, I'm really into 3-step right now. So,
thank you guys so much. Can we give our amazing panelists a round of applause?